Hey, everybody, I'm Don. I'm the RSM for Ontario. One of the things I love about my job and about this section of audio, commercial means that there's going to be all sorts of different places that I'm going to go, all sorts of different applications that are required. I really like that. I really like all the different situations that are asking for audio. Makes it very interesting. So we're just going to touch on a few today, different, I guess, verticals that we work in, that we do a lot of work in, and I thought I'd mention them to you today. So we'll be looking at that. We'll be looking at these three different areas: retail and commercial, outdoor applications, education as well. And then we have a few case studies, examples that we can look at too, and should make it more interesting. Plus, I'm just going to rip through this, and you guys be like, "Wow, it's over already? That was so easy." We're big in background music. That's a big area for us. It's surprising. It's something that you don't often think about until it's not there. Some of the the worst meals I've ever had were restaurants where there was no background music, and it's just like a tomb in there, and I can hear everybody's cutlery and people whispering. It's just horrible. So we do a lot of background music. It certainly sets the scene for wherever you are, the restaurant, the store. It really creates a mood, and it's actually quite important. So with retail, we often are working with background music, but also with paging, system control as well, if there's multiple zones. And we'll just touch on that a little bit more. When you're looking at a customer, you have a customer. They come into you and they're like, "Oh yeah, I need background music, I need paging." You got to know a few things before you get started. Obviously, the type of business are going to tell you that, but then you want to ask them how they're envisioning this. What do they want? Do they have multiple zones? What is this place? Is it an IKEA, or is it a little, chic clothing store on Queen or something? Is it does it have an outside space? What's the inside like? Is it open ceilings? There's such a trend. All the HVAC is exposed and painted black, or is it drywall? What are we looking at here? You need to gather all that information up, and plus know the ambient noise. If it's on Queen Street, for instance, there's going to be a lot of traffic outside, a lot of foot traffic, a lot of noise from the street. Is it a coffee shop and there's going to be lots of people talking? That level of ambient is really important. More so in paging, of course, but it's something that you'd like to know, and because it really impacts the system that you're going to be creating. So that would be great to know as well. And of course, in asking all these questions, I'm hoping that you're going to send all this information to me. That's what I'm really looking for. It's all this valuable stuff, all this info that we take into consideration when we're going to start suggesting and putting a design together, right? What kind of speakers are we looking at? I had mentioned all these different type of ceilings, different ambient noise, the vibe that people want in the retail store. Is there going to be a ceiling at all? Like, is it a big grocery store, or is it a really nice? Is it a young people clothing store? I can say that now because I'm an old people, but is it a young people clothing store? Do they want really great music, lots of low end, make it really groovy? You got to think about how the store is going to be laid out, thinking about the height of the speakers and the top settings we're going to be setting them at with a 70-volt system. Again, if there's an outside space, what's that going to be like? And that's going to be great to know. And then we start to put things together. Once we have all that information, we're going to start putting things together. There's a few things here that we might use for the design. Do I have a? Let me see if I can make this work. No, I'm not. Oh, is this the laser pointer?
Yeah.
Ah, Look at that. Woo, you can see me. So now you guys, these are the type of speakers that we're going to be looking at. Really nice box speakers that have great frequency response, lots of low end. Pendant speakers for those areas with no ceilings, maybe open ceilings. Our F series line of ceiling speakers, wide dispersion, great coverage, ceiling subs. This is our input plate that provides Bluetooth connection as well as 3.5, even a USB port if you had a thumb drive with a whole bunch of MP3s on it. Maybe you've got the day's music already programmed out and you just put it right into the USB drive there. And that connects back to one of our mixer amplifiers here. Something simple like the BG series, a little more complex with onboard DSP like our A800. This is great. This box here was specially designed for background music. Our 4-channel matrix mixer, all in one box, the MA725, or even our 9000 series, an 8x8 DSP that you'd be able to use. So you probably use that more, these two. You'd use more for places with different zones and things like that. So lots of different options that we have available. So here's a few setups, all right? Here's a store, and it's no ceiling, obviously. They're wanting the pendants, so it's an open ceiling, pardon me, not no ceiling, open ceiling. You have the pendants. The great part about the pendants is the cable is actually 15 feet long. So you're able to make a decision as to where you want your sound ceiling. It doesn't have to be, it looks short there, but it doesn't have to be that short. Maybe it's an odd building and the deck is 20 feet up. You can make sure that you can have the speakers where you want them to sit to provide proper coverage, proper volume. Nice thing about this particular pendant as well, the QPE 304BK, is that it has that nice little finishing cap. That's a big feature. I know it seems silly, but it makes a nice clean install. You can't see the electrical box at the ceiling level, covers it up, makes it look nice and clean. We're using the 9000 series here, and you might be wondering why that is, because it's such a small space. But I can see that, see if I can do this. I can see that I've got a 2-channel power amplifier. The reason we have that is we've got the speakers all on one channel and the sub on its own separate channel. The beauty of this is that the 9000 has DSP, and you can apply the low pass filters to channel 2 and send all the low frequencies to the sub, so it doesn't have to deal with the regular higher frequencies. You've got it all separated out. The speakers have their frequencies, the sub has its. Plus, having the sub on a separate channel actually provides you a lot more control over just how groovy you want the store to be. Do you want a little bass or do you want a lot of bass? You love this song, crank it up. Maybe it's at night. Shoppers really love that. Sets a mood, doesn't it? And then we've got multiple inputs as well. It looks like paging as well as the music source, and you can have a wall control there as needed. Second, here's a cafe. This is a different setup. So you can see it's using our A800 series mixer amp. I like the A800 because it has onboard DSP that you can access via browser. And so we can have a number of, as you can see there at the top, there's a number of different sources coming in. And then on the output, there's one speaker output. And you'll notice that the subwoofer, we have it in line with the speakers. Our subs can also have built-in crossover so that they can work on the same speaker line in 70 volt as the speakers as need be. So we've got our groovy new F box speakers there that you can see pictured. And actually that series of F box speaker comes with a excellent new sub as well. I don't think I'll talk about it later, so I'll just mention that sub. I think it's the FB08CU. I don't know, add some letters. But the idea is, the thing I love about that sub is it's got this great bracket. So it doesn't have to, you can see it's just just in the corner there, on the ground, which is fine because subwoofers, they're not directional. So you can, as long as they're in the room, they're effective. But if I wanted to, if this was maybe that previous restaurant or previous store with no ceiling or open ceilings, I could actually mount it up here in the dark because it's got these great brackets. So you can mount it on the wall, you can mount it on the ceiling. So I'm looking forward to using that. That's this series of F-Box speakers is just newly refurbished. So I'm looking forward to using those in the future. Medium to large restaurant. Now you're getting into a facility that really needs zones, or it may, yeah, it could use it for zones. I mean, look what we've got here. So we've got a bar, we've got our F-Series box speakers in the bar. Dining has our pendant speakers, and then I believe out here, here's the patio. You can see this little blue box here, little blue box here. That's patio. And so this particular mixer matrix amplifier, as I said, has 4 zones. You can see that it can have up to 4 different sources coming inbound, and it could go up to 4 zones out. So it can go, the patio can play separately from the dining, which is great because a lot of people try to save money using an amplifier to power the inside and then also the patio. That never works. It's always a mess. I've made that mess myself in the past, learned my lesson. Always put the patio on a separate channel or a separate amp. You'd be surprised how much louder it needs to be outside. Street noise, outside itself, it's surprising how loud it needs to be on the patio for us to enjoy the music out there. That's just a side note. And then, so everything's playing, maybe in the bar, separate music, maybe the big game's on. Don't want to hear the game in the dining area, especially the Leafs game, so because everybody's crying and then nobody can eat. It's terrible. So then you just have the dining room with background music as usual. And that's very effective. Did a lot of those myself, especially in this 4 zone, very similar. And we're using the MA725 again. You'll see that there's, again, pendants in the dining. Now we've beefed it up. The bar is a little bit more rocking with our HS series, the 1200s, a 12-inch driver with a bridge of coaxial bridge of tweeters across the front, which is great. I can talk about that another time. We've got PC580s in the back to make sure that the kitchen is happy and they're rocking, and the patio's got their speakers at the bottom there. And this matrix amplifier playing different things in different places, different volumes. And you'll notice in that little circle here, it also is, you can find the controls via browser. So if you connect the MA725 to your local network, the manager can walk around, adjust volumes, or select sources. Hey, the game's on. Okay, let me just turn in the bar. I'm just going to turn from the music to the game audio, and no running back to the office or anything like that. I've worked in a restaurant for a number of years and all too familiar with that type of stuff. If you're looking for paging in maybe you are working with an IKEA, maybe you are working with a Loblaws, and they really want effective paging. They want it to back of the house as well as the sales floor. You can take advantage of their network by utilizing our IPA1 lineup of products, IP speakers, as well as head-end equipment like our IP audio interface, the IPA1AF, or the paging gateway as well. You're allowed to, this enables you to, you can utilize the on-site VoIP phone system because these transmit via SIP, which is fantastic for audio. A great way, an easy way to transmit audio is by taking advantage of the SIP phone system. So you could tie the paging gateway to the SIP server, and then the paging gateway can multicast up to 20 zones of speakers, or some IP speakers and some audio interface. If you have a hybrid mix of 70-volt equipment and IP, And you can just have a fantastic paging system where you can page just one speaker, or you can page a group of speakers, and makes it all very, very easy to use. We've got a bunch of great equipment for that we can talk about if you're interested. So the takeaways, lots of equipment to help you with paging, with background music, important design considerations. I had mentioned all these different things that I'd love you to gather this information. At the end of this, I've actually got a form that you can download from our website and just use it to gather that information and then send it to me so that we can start working on it. And then as well, all these different products that we've mentioned that are very useful in this vertical. Second area is outdoor applications. I never really thought about this too much, as I was very much, before working with TOA, I was very much involved in the first vertical, background music and that type of thing. So I didn't work too much with outdoor, and I didn't really know how much TOA had to offer. But there's actually quite a few different products that we have that makes working outside, paging outside, really effective and easy to do. Let's see. So like there's all sorts of different places beyond patios, because that's what I was doing. There's all sorts of different things in the hospitality industry, hotels, all sorts of different outside spots, but even more, parks, different places like transportation. Transportation industry really requires a lot of outdoor information as they're speaking with the public or with staff. So lots of different things that you can work with. And so what you really have to think about is, what with my speakers, with the equipment that's going to be going outside, I've got to be aware of the elements and aware of just how much abuse the equipment's going to take. And I better put the proper equipment out there. And when we look at this IP rating system, it helps us to appreciate what these numbers mean. It's a little small, but a lot of our equipment, I know that in a lot of specs and so forth, there's a request for IP65 or greater. So the 6 talks about how tight, how much it protects against dust. No ingress of dust, 2 to 8 hours. That's what 6 stands for. And 5 is talking about water. It's IP65. The 5 is resisting low pressure jets of water. So using IP65 outside, this is what you would want to use outside. You'd want to have something that can endure the elements. Granted, you wouldn't be pointing the speaker up, so there's a good chance the water issue won't be, unless somebody's just come along and spraying your speakers, which is just mean. But IP65 is what you'd be looking for. So a lot of our horn speakers and so forth have IP65 or greater, IP66 even ratings. If you're in part of the country where you're near the ocean, that's something that you have to take into consideration. And of course, utilizing stainless steel hardware in order to lengthen the life of the speaker that you're mounting. Make sure that just because it's so corrosive in some areas close to the coast, you're going to be switching speakers, or at least switching the hardware so that the speakers don't fall. You'd always want to be using stainless steel. As for chlorine, if you're outside, it's not really a factor. It hasn't been too much of a factor from what I've noted. Outdoor speakers surrounding an outdoor pool. It's when it's inside, it's actually surprising how corrosive and damaging chlorine is in the air. And I just wanted, for those folks who are here, just to take note, if you are going to be using our speakers in an indoor pool area, the warranty on the speaker will be knocked down to 1 year. Typically, our speaker warranties are 5 years, but in a chlorine environment, we knock it down to 1 because chlorine is really surprisingly corrosive and damaging to equipment. And so I just wanted to give you that note. Outdoor ratings also IPX. So this is a degree of protection against water. So IPX1, for instance, protected against water drops. Headphones with these ratings would not be suitable for even exercise. So I don't know how much ear sweat you have, but just a heads up on that. So you probably want IPX4 for your sweaty ears. However, you know, IPX6 protected from water jets at any angle. So you can see as it increases over the chart. A lot of our speakers, I think I've got it in my next slide here. Yep, some of our speakers here, like our HX5, HX7, they are IPX4. We mount them outside, the weatherproof version. Usually they're curling and angled downwards. So I'm not too worried unless that same jerk is spraying these speakers as well with a hose. I'm not too worried about these. They last outside. I've got a number of different like sports facilities and fields and so forth where I've mounted these, and they continue to be used and they're very effective. So I wouldn't want you to hesitate on that. But just a note, the difference between IPX4 and let's say IP66. So there's a difference there. But you can see that, you know, top left, where's my laser? The BS1030s, they're IPX4, so you probably use them outside, but maybe under the eaves, under the protection of the roof, similar with others that are like that. But IP65, they can be mounted on posts. So it just depends on where the speaker is going to live on the project. Choosing the right speaker. So for background music, I always use the FBox speakers there. So take that. I mean, BS1030s are fine, but I've always found that the FBox speaker, music comes out of it. I just think it's great. It sounds great, has a great frequency response, nice low end. It works very well. I wanted to mention the H2WP, which you see on the right there. This is a IP64 weatherproof ceiling speaker. However, this is not a speaker that would be inside. You don't have to make a cut in the outside ceiling material, whatever it is, the soffit or whatever. It resides on top. It's a surface mount speaker. What's cool about the H2WP, besides being weatherproof, is that the speaker on the inside is actually on a 45-degree angle, and you can grab it and twist it so you can angle it to where you want it to project to. So you'd want to angle it away from the wall towards the folks on this patio here. And yeah, it's a great speaker, sounds fantastic, looks a little different, might be of interest to architects. And actually that H series is our architectural line, and lots of different unusual speakers there. Not lots, but 3 or 4 that are available that just don't look like your conventional speaker and perform very well. Different applications, some more different applications here. Again, FBox always works for me for background music on bar patios and so forth. If you're looking for paging, you could always use something like the CS horns. CS horns are interesting because they're not like a typical horn. The way they're built, they are not, they have a driver, and they sort of have the guts of a typical speaker, but they're a horn. So they also have a certain, they're able to throw for a good distance as well. Really nice speaker to use if you do want to have some music as well as paging in maybe a warehouse or something like that. They perform very well. And then, of course, the HX5s, which we've talked about. Outdoor pools, again, I'm not so worried about them as far as chlorine's concerned. I know that some indoor pools actually use our SRS speakers, which are the column arrays on the right here. The weatherproof version will stand up to chlorine up to a year, and they're excellent in indoor pools because just like gymnasiums, they've got all these hard surfaces, walls, windows, and they're a nightmare for paging anything intelligible. So to have these provide a beam of sound makes it so much more understandable announcements, and they're very effective in those situations. Yeah, and then I've installed most of these. Actually, the H3WPs, I don't know if you've ever been to the Toronto Halton fancy stores out just off 401 there. What's it called?
Toronto Premium Outlets.
Toronto Premium Outlets. I know that they use the H3s throughout. So if you ever happen to be there, you can take a listen. These particular speakers are wall mounted, and they have two speakers inside, angled to the left and to the right, pointed downwards. So it's an interesting speaker to use. Again, not your typical looking speaker as well. The CS761, I made a bit of a typo there, but they're IP66, our most powerful horn at 60 watts. So pretty effective for throwing. Plus, it comes in black, which I thought was awesome. And then again, our F-Box speakers, which are very effective. How would you set it up? Our A800 series is great for a single zone. The single zone, it doesn't have to be a small area. It could be a larger area outside, maybe around the perimeter of a building. I've got my AM/FM tuner there just to show you to be a sound source. So it could be as easy as that. Or you can have multi-zone areas, again, going back to the 9000, where we're using BS1030s in one area, CS304 horns, maybe that's the parking lot, I don't know, and then H3s in another outdoor area. So you could tie two of those zones together if you wanted to. We've got a 2-channel amp, so maybe the 304s and the BS1030s are on one channel, the H3s are on another channel, broadcasting background music and possibly announcements as well. Larger setups, it gets larger, so you're using different things. I just want to make a point. These HX5s, I wouldn't normally use them with the MA725s, but I think we just threw them in there to give you an idea. This is 4 zones. If you were going to use the HX5s in this particular setup, we actually have an add-on 200-watt transformer. So because the MA725 mixer amp provides 250 roughly watts per channel, you could have 2 transformers on the back of those HX5 tapped at 100 watts each, for instance, and they could be on one channel. And then the other speakers on the other 4 channels, multiple music inputs, multiple wall controls, so that they can select the source as well as the volume in each zone. So what can you take away from this? Keep in mind what makes things waterproof: IP ratings, IPX ratings, how much corrosiveness, how much corrosion will be involved in your install. Depends on where it is or what room you're using it in. And these speakers, this is a good point, work in a wide variety of operating temperatures. So you're going to be safe pretty much with all of them as far as heat versus cold, because Canada offers so many different temperatures. Oh, and then, yeah, and then just you'd have to be thinking about what, again, just like I mentioned with the first, what is this facility? What do they want? You really have to get an idea from the end user what they're looking for and help them to select the right speaker. Our last area is education, educational facilities. So K-12, post-secondary, private schools of different types. We've got a lot of different options for schools. Schools have so many different requirements for audio, and we've got a good handle on almost all of them, from voice lift in the classroom, PA systems, intercom systems. You've got challenging spaces like gymnasiums, maybe even outdoor paging systems that require, your intercom and PA maybe require bell schedules and so forth, and we can cover all of that for you. As I said, gyms are very unique creatures because of the terrible acoustic room that you're that you're working in. But we've got the equipment to help you with that. All sorts of different types of arrays, plus amps and mixers that are appropriate, mixers that provide excellent tools like feedback suppression and automatic resonance control and things of that nature. Lots of wireless mics that we can offer you, both lapel, handheld, head-worn mics. Paging, we can support you with that. Being able to communicate, that paging is probably our biggest vertical, and this is an area that we've got with purpose-built equipment that can help you to really make a great system that's very useful and intelligible. Campus-wide communication. So if you needed intercom, we have that. We've got our N8000 equipment, which I believe we'll be talking about shortly, which is something that we offer a certification course. So the people who pass this course would then have this line of intercom available to them. They've taken a course. It's a very tech-heavy course, and so if you were looking for an integrator that's familiar with the N8000, we could certainly put you in touch with them. But it can provide all these different functions, like not just communication, but scheduling, bell schedules, door access, emergency broadcast, all sorts of different things like that. Plus, VoiceLit for the classroom, something that we do very well. And we've actually just come out with a new product called the IR842, which we'll talk about in a minute. But just to help everybody stay engaged, kids like me looking out the window I could have used this. But anyway, here I am. I'm not better. And so just to help everybody stay engaged, as well as help the teacher. Both my parents are teachers, and they'd come home at the end of the day exhausted because they've been screaming all day, and so I stayed quiet. Anyway, I won't go into it. There's a lot of therapy there. Let's go forward. Here's the N8000. One of the great things about this, I think of all of TOA has a great reputation for rock solid equipment that lasts forever. And I think of all of it, the N8000 is probably the most solid. Lots of different things that you can do with it, how you can customize it, and all sorts of different applications that can be used with the N8000. Here's a small school setup. You can see that there's, in building 1, there's 16 classrooms. Where's my laser pointer? There's 16 classrooms here. Building 2, a variety of call stations available. You can see that they're all connected with these black boxes at the central rack. The N8000 CO ties in a telephone line. These 2 AF boxes provide not only audio, injection of audio, but also your bell schedule resides on an N8000 AF. The MI, which stands for multi-interface, so that can also help inject audio. So this may be an emergency announcement system here that you can send into the intercom system. Lots of different things that you can use with it. Here's a K-12 setup. You can see here's the office. Primary stations in the office to be able to call the different classrooms, different areas. Here's an AF box with the bell schedule, tying in the phone here. An RS interface, which sends out to these different push button call stations in 16 plus classrooms. Another AF box where we're injecting audio into the system here. There's a background music source. This could be a digital message repeater. Maybe it's got something that you use every day. National anthem, could be different things that you can have on there. And Also PA zones. So not everything goes to the classroom. So you got corridors, the outside, lots of different spaces that need audio and announcement as well. Also, I mentioned the IPA one. Well, you know what? It's also very effective in education environments. And I'll show you how we work here. I tried to drink water and just ended up pouring it on myself. So while refreshing, also distracting. So this is the SIP server. And you can see here, here's the paging gateway. Now the paging gateway can multicast, I told you, up to 20 different zones of speakers. So if there were IP speakers, perhaps right in the classroom, it can multicast out to these speakers. But if there's also some existing 70-volt equipment in the school, we can have the IPA1 audio interface out to the local amp, out to the 70-volt speakers. And so you're creating a real hybrid system there, which saves money and actually isn't really a bad idea for hallways and things like that, where you'll have a string of speakers. It's good to have 70-volt in those situations. If there were ever any latency issues with the network, that means that audio might be arriving at each speaker at slightly different times, which would make the corridor sound like a mess. It's just, what was that? It's, TTC, what? And so what you're wanting to do is maybe have the 70-volt speakers, the analog speakers, sound arrives at each of them at the same time, much easier to understand. So that might be a benefit there. Hopefully there's nobody from the TTC on. I regret what I just said. Anyway, so multi-level schools, I think this just helps you to appreciate that we could have an amp per level. Each amp, that could be a zone. And then if we were using our VM3000 equipment, that head end could call out to each of these zones or to all of them. So if they were concerned about possibly an emergency announcement system, we've got you covered there as well. We actually have one of our close-up looks here coming up. That's what we did at a post-secondary institution, and it worked quite well. So I'll talk about that in a minute. And actually, it was a library, so that's even better. So here's a school library. A lot of universities have separate library buildings, and these buildings are made so that people can squirrel themselves away into a corner in order to have quiet so that they can study. But that's really a nightmare scenario for a facility manager, isn't it? In the case of an emergency, okay, I got 1,000 people in this building, but they're all purposely trying to be in a quiet spot. How am I going to reach them all? This is one way. You can see the M9000 8x8 DSP out to 4 channels or more, 4 or more channels, and we've got different speaker zones here. And we can page them from the phone, we can page them from a mic. There could be messages sent out as well. So lots of different options that we offer. Challenges in the classroom. So when we were coming up with the IR800, we were trying to understand what's happening in a classroom and how the challenges that are faced there with audio. So a typical class, 30 by 30, they're not great for audio. Hard walls, hard windows, acoustic ceiling. It's sometimes tough to put audio into such a space. Plus, everybody's seated, so really your listeners are needing to hear at, what would that be, 4 or 5 feet off the ground, and the teacher's standing at the front. If you're at the front, the kids might be hearing pretty well, but it certainly gets worse as you go towards the back, and so the kids at the back are not experiencing the same thing. More problems when the teacher turns their back to be writing on the board or looking at charts or so forth. You're getting some reflections off the back wall as well. But of course, it's great when the teacher's standing right beside you, but that's just not realistic. They have to move around. There's 30 kids. So there was a lot of challenges there. And so what we came up with was the installed version of the IR 800. The teacher wears this white mic on a lanyard. There's a small mixer where a lot of the different sound sources, like his or her device, his or her laptop, because a lot of stuff is on screen now. They all come into this mixer, and everything is broadcast through these high quality, wide dispersion speakers. Been very popular for us, a big success. But some of the feedback that we got is that they would like a portable unit. And so what we came up with was the IR 842. It's a box speaker that can be put on the filing cabinet at the front of the room. You can mount it on the wall. We include a bracket. And the teacher, again, wearing a similar mic on a lanyard, and they broadcast through this speaker. Now, if it's a primary school, now it's time to hit the gymnasium. Kids all line up. The teacher can pack this in the bag and bring it with them. And then when she can put it on the front of the class, at the front of the gym, maybe on the stage, and can start using it again. And it saves her voice, helps out with maybe instructions, whatever they happen to be doing. And so far, it's been great. It doesn't have to be that scenario, but that's one scenario for you. Here's that case study. So it was the University of Saskatchewan. And that was the issue, was that they had this big building that you can see there, Murray Library. I think every university has a big, giant library like this. And they were having trouble communicating through the building. I believe, from what I remember, I was talking to the rep about it, they were actually having to run upstairs, like actually send a person to the different floors. Hey, we're closing, get out. And God forbid it was an emergency, but this is how they were actually communicating with the students there. They actually had to run around and let everybody know that it was time to leave. So they really wanted to improve that, of course, not just for the safety feature, but just to modernize it. Less work, less responsibility for the poor people that had to run around. And, libraries are made to be quiet. So that now you're going to be dealing with that, trying to reach every corner. And that's what we did. We provided a system with our VM3000 equipment. It's a purpose-built piece of equipment for emergency announcement. And using that, so this is the first box here. It starts with this. And then as you need more power, you would add extension boxes. That's this guy here. And you can have a maximum of 10 boxes, one of these, 9 of these, 2,400 watts, 60 zones, and pair it with a bunch of great sounding, highly intelligible speakers, and you've got an excellent paging system. Plus, you'll notice that we had an analog timer here that we added. There is a message repeater built into the VM3000 3240 VA. So we had the timer connected with contact so that they could actually, at 15 minutes before closing, they could start announcing, hey, we're closing in 15 minutes. Hey, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. And which was a huge boost in staff morale. I think that they were exhausted. I felt bad for them. So it was an excellent, they're thrilled with it, and it's working very well. So takeaways, I think we cover almost every applicable need for audio in a school, K-12 or post-secondary. And we can help you with pretty much any project that you may be faced with. And overall, there's regional sales managers across the country like me. They're far more serious. And we do our best. We try to be as technical as possible. And if we can't answer your questions, I've also got a great tech team behind me that can make me sound smarter. And we provide not only answers to your questions, but also free design proposals. So if you brought me all that information, ooh, do I have that page next? If you brought me all that information that we talked about, yes, you can go to our website. Here's the form right here. You can download this form. You can use it like a script if you want. It's got all the different questions that we need to know. And if you fill that out and send it to me along with maybe the floor plans that have dimensions, including ceiling heights, we can put together a great design for you that will include not only the design itself, but a speaker layout, a speaker render, so a heat map, as well as any diagrams you'd be looking for, riser diagrams for identifying what kind of wiring is needed and that type of thing. And we can put it all into one document and send it to you. And then you can utilize that depending on what job you guys all have, whether you're an engineer, that takes a little bit of work off your desk. If you're an integrator, you can take that document and present it to the end user. And, from what I understand, they're always impressed by that. So they're like, holy cow, this guy actually put a lot of work into this. They're serious. And so it's been a great selling feature for our integrators. And, even if there are any engineers on here, even if you don't end up using the information that I sent, it's free. And it just gives you an interesting perspective, somebody else's view on how you would go about, designing that space. It maybe give you a little help along the way and take some work off your desk, because I know you guys are super busy. So I think that's it. Oh my gosh, questions and answers. This is fun. This is the worst part because now I'll look dumb. If you have any questions, please let me know. Can they open their mics themselves?
No, so they can run through chat or the Q&A sections.
Where's the chat?
Two up there. So yeah, we'll take a minute or two. If you have any burning questions, you can send them into the chat, the Q&A, and we'll address them now. But if there's nothing for the moment, we can move forward with our giveaway. And if anything ever comes up, please do reach out to us. Pester Dawn, pester myself.
Oh, doesn't sound good. Yeah, please do. Please feel free to reach out, and we can help you with anything. Just type a speaker. Don, what would you do in this situation? Anything like that. That'd be great. I'd be happy to help. So you said there's a giveaway?
Yeah, so
Dr. Sound.